Hi students, I am making a tutorial about the week 1.7 assignment to help show you visually how to accomplish the task of starting a project and organizing it. So to start off, this is all about organization. So when you create a course at LA Film, I'm pretty sure that you all probably create a folder for everything for this class. So I would think that if I was a student, and I was a student at one point for many, many, many years, and I would always create a folder for my classes, and then I'd make a folder for materials, and I can see how at LA Film Online, you might want to create a folder for each week that you can then put your assignments into that are particular to that week and stuff like that. In this particular class, you're going to have this one assignment that you end up doing. Work for in all 4 weeks because there's one kind of big assignment here, and that is editing a short film. So the very first thing we ask you to do is to download your files. One of the reasons we want you to do that right away, day one, is because if you have any problems downloading them, we can send you an alternative download link and find out how to get those to you if you're having issues. So once you have these are zip folders right here. You see how they end in .zip? That means that it's a compressed folder. And what that means is that a file or folder was run through a mathematical algorithm that gets rid of redundant information, thereby creating a smaller file size. Now, there are a few reasons to compress a file into a zip file, and one of them being to decrease the file size for transmission over the internet. And the other, one of the reasons that we use it is also because the learning management system that we use for LA Film Online only accepts, for security reasons, only accepts certain file types. And Premiere Pro projects are not one of those file types, so we must place them into a file type that the LMS can accept. So I'll be showing you how to compress your file at the end of this video. But you will be receiving files that are compressed. Now, you're going to be editing on your MacBook, so what you'll be able to do is decompress all of these by double-clicking on them. But first, you can do this before or after, but the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder here called Video. And every editor actually organizes their footage in different ways. I'm going to show you a way that you can do it, and once you see the big picture of how things are organized, hopefully then that you will be able to organize your footage according to your personal taste, what works for you, and the needs of your project. So I'm going to go ahead and press Shift and then click Shift and then click the bottom and top, first and last files in all of the footage files to select all of them, and then I'm going to drag them into the video folder. Now, once they're in here, I'm going to double click on each one, and then my computer is going to unzip them, also called decompress them. So here I go. Alright, and you can see that after it gets done decompressing them, it creates a folder of the same name, and inside of the folder now we can see the individual film clips inside. If you are new to editing or Premiere Pro in general, then I suggest that you edit the film called Nothing Owed, and that's where this footage is from. One of the reasons to use Nothing Owed is because it comes with a lined script, right? And this is where the continuity supervisor, or also called a script supervisor on set, took note of where each shot was. That can be useful in some cases, but in general, it's nice to just have the script because it shows you the story. And so as an editor, your job is to tell the story with the clips. And so it's nice, every editor should read the script at least once or twice before watching all of the footage so that you understand what the story is about. And also, try to pay attention to how you feel about the story and how you feel about the characters. And you might even consider taking notes, but at the very least, take mental notes so that when you're editing and watching the footage and getting to know the film and the story, then you can start to understand how you might want to portray each character. Because although editors have limited ways to portray characters through their editing, the editing does come into play. All right, so you also have a sound report here, and it tells you which takes were good as far as sound goes, but you don't really need to pay attention to that. Script notes also mention which shots were good. So this was shot 2B right here, and take 3. 2B, take 3. They're saying that it was good. So that means on set, the director watched the footage, saw the performance, and marked it as good. All right. So as an editor, if you're in a hurry or you want to get an idea of what the director thought was a good take, you can look at this. And you can see here shot 2B, take 3, 2B, take 1, 2A, take 1. You're going to see this come into play here in just a minute. In fact, we can go take a look at it. That's scene 2, shot B, take 1. And you see here how these are labeled. 2A, take 1. And then you'll see on here, on the slate, it also says 2A, take 1 on here. So that matches up. The reason this is on the slate is so that we know visually which shot this is. And then up here it's also labeled 2A_1. That's scene 2, shot A, take 1. And then when we look at our production documents, such as the script notes, you can see here 2A, take 1. So everything lines up. You can even see which lens that they used. If you want to study how lenses look, this is a good way to see. You can see this 25 millimeters, a wide angle, and then this 50 millimeters, more of a normal angle, so you can see what those look like. But these are the shots, and this is how you find them, and this is how you understand how these notes are related. All right, so now we have our footage. We can delete these zip folders because we don't need them anymore. Now, I'm not going to delete them because I would like to keep them on my computer because I use them for tutorials like this. So I'm going to put nothing of video files. And just put them over here in a temporary folder. Whereas you can just delete them at this point because now you have all of the folders that you need. Alright, so now that we have our video, normally if you shoot dual system, you'll have video and then you'll have separate audio recorded on a different computer. So you can create a audio folder, and then normally we're going to have music in our project, right? And what we want to do is we want all of our assets, all of our audio, our video, our animations, our anything that is created that we're going to bring into a project, even fonts that we might want to use, I always put them all into one folder, the project folder, and that's nothing owed right here. This is our project folder. Now I am also going to create a folder called NLE for Nonlinear Editor, and this is where our Premiere Pro files are going to live. So now I've got my video. I'm not going to have any audio because luckily these videos come with the audio already synced up and merged and ready to go. So we don't have any separate audio. but I put this there because normally you would create an audio bin. And then in this film, we will also have sound effects. So I'll create a sound effects folder because we have gunshots and car sounds and doors slamming and stuff going on. So you'll generally have sound effects in every film project that you edit. Now it's time to create our Premiere Pro project. So I'm going to go down here to Premiere Pro, and I have the latest version installed. You want to keep up to date. So I'm just going to click on it. And then a splash screen is going to come up. And then after that, we're going to have our start screen. All right. On the start screen, we're going to click New Project. And on this New Project panel, we're going to give it a name. I'm going to call it Nothing Owed. And then I'm going to click Browse because I want to point it to the project folder. So let me go down here to my desktop, LAFS, DFM 260, Nothing Owed. And then I'm going to put it in the NLE folder because that's for our nonlinear editor. And Premiere Pro is a nonlinear editor. I'm going to click Choose. So now that's selected. And everything else I will just leave as it is and click OK. Now it just created a Premiere Pro project in our NLE folder. So that's where it lives. All right. Now Premiere Pro came up and I'm going to make it full screen. You can see how I hide my dock to allow as much screen real estate to be taken up by my creative programs as possible. So now we're in Premiere Pro. And we have these different panels that can be confusing at first until you know what everything does. Once you know what everything does, what it's there for, then it all makes sense and then you get to the job of editing. Now, with every Adobe program, there's some learning curve. And so whenever you start a new Adobe program, just understand you're going to have to take a few hours at the very least, and maybe many hours to get to know the program. That's just how it goes. And every time I want to learn a new Adobe program, I understand that that's what I'm getting myself into. Premiere Pro is fairly intuitive. There are many different ways to accomplish any given task. So that's what can be confusing about it sometimes is it's very robust and you have to know where everything is in order to work in it. But for right now, I'm going to keep it simple. And right here, it's already giving me some instruction on what to do. Right here it says import media to start. So I'm going to start there. Because without any media assets, we can't do anything. Premiere Pro, the whole point is to organize our assets into something that can be exported for people to watch and enjoy or learn from. So let's go ahead and to import media. Do you remember how I said that there are several ways to do anything in Premiere Pro? Well, that is true for this as well. So I'll go up here to File, and you can click Import there. And then we can import our footage that way. Now, when you get a window like this, you can navigate to the folder where the footage is, the video folder, over here by going to Desktop. Or right here, I noticed that it put me in the NLE folder where Nothing Owed is. So you can also drop down, and then this is actually a folder tree. Going back to NLE is inside of the Nothing Owed folder, which is inside of the DFM 260 Intro to Editing folder, which is inside of the LAFS folder, which is inside of the Desktop folder. So, which is also here to work backwards. Here's the Desktop folder, in the LAFS folder, the Editing, the Nothing Owed, and then the NLE. So both of them work backwards, and that's what that's for. It also has some recently used folders that are here that you can choose from. Now I'm going to go to my video folder because I want to import everything from my video folder. So now we do have some audio that was recorded separately. So I'm remembering that now. That should have gone in the audio folder. But for now, let's go ahead and import. Well, actually, I'm going to teach you how to create a bin first. All right, this is a new bin folder. And I'm going to create one called video. Don't want to get ahead of myself. Because you can import everything into the kind of general area and then put it in a video folder. But my preference is to right-click on my bin and then click import so that everything that I import gets imported into the bin. So I am going to shift-click all of these and click import. So if I import folders, I can import entire folders of video. So I don't have to do one video by one video or just the different folders of video. I can just import all of it. And that's really nice. So once that imports, it's going to actually create bins that correspond to the folders that I just created. And I'll tell you why that's nice. Right? So now, there's our footage. It came, oh, and there's our clips. Those are in there. Now what's nice about this is the folders, all of our footage was already organized by scene. So now we got scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. And then some other things here. So that's nice. Now, I did have that audio. You remember that? Oh, I forgot to do the audio. So we don't want to forget that we have this audio. So I'm going to go back here. Now we have this audio folder that I created, and I'm going to just go ahead and move this folder into the audio folder. And then I'm going to get rid of the old audio folder by moving it to the trash. All right, and these production documents can come out of our video folder as well. All right, and I'm just going to keep those there so that I have access to those. I've got all my audio in there. I've got my video in the video folder. When I download some sound effects and music, those will be in there. I got my production documents and my Premiere Pro project folder. All right, you're going to be turning these in, so this is important. This is what you're working on, and this is what you're going to turn in for your assignments. All right, so now that I've got my video in my video folder, then all I have to do is drag this folder over, and you see it's got a no you can't do that sign on there. So, but if it says drop media here to create a sequence, so this bin over here is full of media. So if I want to create a string out of all of my footage, then I can grab my video folder that contains all of my footage. I drag it over, it has a plus, I let go, and it just created a timeline or sequence. They both mean the same thing. I've got a sequence over here in my timeline area, and with all of the footage from the entire movie. This is all of the footage that they captured during production. And as you can see here, it's about 1 minute and 9 seconds. I'm sorry, 1 hour and 9 minutes. And the first thing any editor worth their salt is going to do is they're going to watch all of the footage. You're just going to go to the beginning. Now you can scrub through footage up here in this timeline area where all these little hash marks are, and you can just scrub through. And this is called scrubbing. And then if you click anywhere on a hash mark, you're going to move this timeline time indicator to that position. All right, so for this assignment, 1.7, you're just going to go to the beginning and you can press play in this viewer window. And this viewer window is for your program, and it says video because that is what our timeline is called. And you can see it also created a sequence here called video. So we can rename that to string out. And then you can see that it changed the name here and it changed the name up here, right? Oh, but now we have a new kind of asset here. We've got this sequence here. So normally what I'll do is I will also create a new bin called sequences. And as you can see, I can right click and create a new bin, or I can click on this icon down here, and I can probably create a new bin up here somewhere in the menus. But generally, I'll right click and create a bin, or click on this. So I'm going to stick this in the sequences folder. And I also know that later on I'm going to have titles. So I'll go ahead and create a folder as soon as I know I'm going to have something to put inside of it. I know later I'm going to have titles. And I know that I'm also going to have sound effects. And I'm also going to have music. So I might as well create those now so that those have a place to live once I bring them in. All right, so now that I have my string out and I'm all organized over here, what I want to do is File. I'm going to save it, which is great. It also, Premiere Pro also automatically saves your work. Now, you can find all of the preferences for Premiere Pro under the Premiere Pro CC menu under Preferences. And this is where all the little preferences are made. And I'm going to go to, let's see here, Autosave. And you can see right now it's set to automatically save my projects, and it's going to save my projects every 5 minutes. Now, I like to keep that on, and I like to keep it at 5 minutes because it's a nice reminder. Whenever it automatically saves it, it comes up with a window that tells you that it's saving it. And then that reminds me to save it, and I'll usually press Command S right after it does an autosave to save the project myself. All right. And so what will happen is Premiere Pro will create a autosave folder. And every time it autosaves, every 5 minutes, it's going to create a new project, and there will end up being several in here. And in fact, if we go to Premiere Pro CC to Preferences, Autosave, you can see it'll keep 20 versions. I like to keep a lot of versions. So there will end up being at least 20 in there. 20 different versions saved. So now that that is saved, to turn in my assignment, I will just simply go to my NLE folder, find my Premiere Pro project file, and I'll right click, and then I'm going to click Compress Nothing Out. And now I have a zip folder that I can then upload to the LMS, and then it's finished. Thanks for watching.